Okay, I want to keep moving forward on this board meeting. I want to see what they're saying.
Yeah.
It's like pulling teeth, but it's important to hear.
Thank you for clarifying that.
No, that's a great question. Thank you. It is a good question. Maybe I asked the general manager again. He mentioned it at the last meeting, but some people may not have heard that. Is that, we're building a budget that is based on a lot of things that are changing, as we see. And so there's going to be some flexibility built into this budget to deal with needs. And I think that more and more folks are going to be interested in our monthly financial reports. And I think the staff is committed to maybe come back to us on a quarterly basis as things are starting to emerge and change. And I know that Bernie Bottomley is also trying to, it sounds like, in charge now of the plan to actually figure out how we're going to ramp.
They're going to come back to the board once every 3 months and tell them how they're spending the money. Isn't that wonderful accountability? It's just the accountability we really need. Is come back every 3 months and tell us something.
And get writers back in the future. So
yeah, right.
I'm looking forward to those reports too. And I think our stakeholders will want to be engaged and will want to get them engaged.
I'll be happy to comment on it at my general manager's comment.
All right, thank you. Any other questions or comments for Travis?
Thank God, no.
And then I'm going to move on to the next report, which is the Transit Equity Advisory Committee, and Director Gonzalez, who probably has a little more time on to commit to this than he has in the last few months. So the floor is yours.
Oh, let's hear.
Thank you.
Ozzy, baby.
Warner, and to everyone on the call today. We had a meeting on, let's see, the days were a bit of a blur. I believe it was May 12th, not last week, the week before. Seems like an eternity already, but we did have a robust conversation with TIAC. Now, this is the Transit Equity Advisory Committee. It's comprised of over a dozen community organizations that each represent transit-dependent riders and sectors of our community that are key components to our community engagement efforts. So I just wanted to set that context up. So TIAC met on May 12th, and we discussed the base coverage survey, and we're able to update the members on the results of the base coverage survey, as well as set up a system to start distributing maps throughout the community. Trimet has set up a program to, at last I checked, was distributing 10,000 maps for free directly to Portland Metro community-based organizations. So many of our TIAC organizations opted into that program and helped us distribute those maps to community members. This is in addition to maps that have become available on the public transit vehicles themselves. Trimet also discussed an overview of the new equity webpage, which I believe we're going to be seeing some data in a subsequent report here today. But we were able to show this website that is focused on the overall equity work for the agency. And it's part of it is through the programs that are mandated federally by Title VI. And some of it is through our internal agency programs with respect to like supplier diversity and things of that nature. So the website is up and it's starting to highlight milestones regarding the low-income fare program, housing projects throughout our footprint, as well as the supplier diversity and minority contracting. So that was great to see the unveiling of that website. I encourage anyone out there to take a look. TIAC also received an update on the agency's efforts to develop the equity lens, the draft equity lens tool. Again, something that is a derivative of the Title VI federal mandate, a standard that we're proud to be holding up here in our region. And we were able to look at consulting for the year ahead to continue to build out the tool. So this has not only allowed us to unveil the tool, but to start discussing how we're going to work with the community to actually develop this tool over the next year. So that's an exciting process.
There's nothing. That's bogus.
Return to TIAC an overview of the TOD guidelines.
Insiders.
Version of changes that were briefed to TIAC over 2 weeks ago. We got.
Let me make a comment about this. they're trying to get this into the T20, into their next pork barrel, which who knows how many people fool into tricking them into giving them their money. I mean, you'd think by now, with all the riots and the cops and the government abuse, people would know by now government is your enemy. It's not your friend, it's your enemy. They're here to oppress you, steal from you, and you're gonna voluntarily give them your money? Are you fucking insane? What is the matter with the public here?
Some additional feedback from that. So, we're seeing today the latest from all of that engagement. And Trimet provided an update on efforts to support the remote enrollment for the low-income care program. So that's been another development, and of course working with the community organizations that are in TIAC to make sure that this enrollment program is able to be implemented throughout our community network. So that's going to make, hopefully, it's going to make it much easier for people to not only enroll in the program, but for our community agencies to support people in enrolling for the program. The numbers have already exceeded our expectations. I didn't get the most updated number, but we're well over 20,000 enrollees at this point. So that's been a pretty, I hesitate to say successful rollout because it just means there's a lot of need out there. But I like to say that the program, the adoption of the program shows that we are rolling it out effectively for those that need it. And finally, TIAC board members, Clackamas Community College student Ray Atkinson, who's a member on TIAC, provided an update on the Clackamas Community College's shuttle program and outlined its community engagement plan. So there's some opportunities there for Trimet to continue to complement some of our other affiliates in their paratransit services. It was a good meeting. We had 26 meeting participants. We've adjusted to working remotely. It's been interesting to see how it's actually helping us.
Get moving forward.
Leadership say that we're not doing that as often as we were before. And so I'm just curious if you've heard any feedback from TIAC members in terms of the fare collection as well.
Oh, bullshit. Move it.
In front of me today.
Move it out of there.
Where these details are reported on a regular basis. And the next safety committee meeting is on June 29th. So there's an opportunity there to participate for anyone out there in the public as well.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. I just want to quickly respond to that. I think while it's great to see, the citations decrease, I want to just speak a little bit to just so much of an increase, anxiety, fear, stress that many of our, especially transit-dependent folks, really have no option else, just their own mental health and how they're experiencing things on the system. And I know that for me and, many of the folks that I know, we have the luxury to work from home.
Yeah. Yeah, I see that. They still haven't posted that board meeting. Look, nothing. Here, they did last month. Here it is, but not this month. I wonder why. Who knows with them? They don't care.
Home and, but that's not the case for so many other people in different situations, and especially essential workers who, again, many of them have to continue to take transit to, really be the backbone of this pandemic right now. And so I would just take it a step further and maybe, explore this possibility of potentially freezing citations, duration of the pandemic, until there's more concrete plans for reopening.
They're not going to freeze
at least in Multnomah County, which is, one of our most populous counties. Just something to consider, and I know,
why don't you make a motion to make a motion, okay? Don't just go, I'd like this to consider. No, here's how you work on a board. You go, I want to make a motion to have a moratorium on fare enforcement. That's how you do it, okay? You don't talk bullshit like pretend that you care when you don't do anything about it. The Bernie Sanders method. Oh, I think we should have this and this and this and this, but don't ask me to actually stand up for it because I won't. But I think we should have it.
probably have other thoughts around that, but I think this is just such a critical time right now for, again, independent writers, people who are, low income, and just having additional stressors of, someone coming up to you and questioning payment, and then, going through the citation process can be very detrimental. So, just wanted to bring that up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Director Bauman, did you have your hand raised?
I did, thank you. Ozzy, thanks for that report. I think you mentioned a face covering survey, and I had not heard of that before, and I wonder if you can give us a little bit more detail on what that involved.
There was a survey that was issued by Trimet out to, through the network, through the website. It gets distributed to the Writers Club, TIAC organizations to distribute to their membership. I don't have numbers for the number of respondents we got, but it was a broad public survey really evaluating the safety concerns of people and how they ride, how they have been impacted by ridership, and what their safety concerns are by riding the system. So that's provided some insight to where are people's concerns and how they feel about whether the bus driver wearing a mask or whether the shield protecting the bus drivers make them feel better. And so that insight was brought forward. Let me see here. We were also asking in the survey if the partners were open to offering services, and asked if they had the ability to distribute masks to provide them. So from that survey, we were able to discover that there were community affiliates willing to help distribute masks, and that's what led us to now how do we get them to you, and who would like to get them. Now there was, I believe we all got links to the survey. I'm not sure if you had a chance to see the questions themselves, but it was about really how are you riding, and now in COVID, and are you able to have your concerns and safety addressed? And let's see here. I got some information on the return of the survey itself. There's as far as the reach, we have 24,000 members in the Writers Club that were sent the survey, and there was 200 on the TIAC email distribution survey, and that includes us on the board as well.
Okay, what's the point?
I hope that answers your basic questions. I'll have to defer if you need more details on the findings of the survey. I'll have to go back to deferring to our community engagement team.
Would be interested in seeing that if that's available. But thank you for that, Ozzy.
Mm-hmm.
Why, thank you, Ozzy. Thank you.
But the staff can get that for you. So thank you. So I'd ask the board members if we've answered your question to lower your hands, and I'm not confused about who to pick the next time. Looking at that concludes our board report. Unless there's objection, I'm going to move on to the general manager report and ask the general manager to maybe first comment on some of the things we heard during the public forum, or anything else he'd like to respond to before he gets into his report that he's prepared to give us this morning. Mr. General Manager.
Thank you very much, Mr. Board President, members of the board. So in terms of a few points I'll respond to in no particular order of importance. The first one is around the ATU negotiation was questioned. So because of COVID, the ATU's executive and a number of our leadership are meeting every single day, Monday through Friday, that is, right after we update our internal selves we have a leadership team that looks at the COVID policies and issues and advanced planning issues that are coming our way. So every day we meet on that. Negotiations by both parties' agreement have basically been put on hold for a few months. As things hopefully stabilize a little more so on the COVID side, in those discussions between the two parties, then we're hopefully looking forward to getting back to the bargaining table. And I think one of those items is, in fact, comment on specifics of bargaining. That's, I think, where it needs to reside. So, anyhow, the second item was, in terms of budget transparency, I think a couple of the directors, myself, President Warner, got to this, is that the budget has not been approved. That was referred to earlier this morning. The TSCC did their review with us for an hour plus this morning, and I think we satisfied their questions and answers. Hopefully, they passed they moved on. But the board itself this will be coming to the June board meeting for discussion and hopefully anticipating adoption to get ready for the July 1st effective date for our fiscal year. So in terms of transparency, Bernie Bottomley and his team are, there's several that are set. I think it's 3 right now. I think there are a few more to come, including, for example, I think the CAT committee would be inviting them to participate as well as anybody from the public. So and I encourage all the board members to participate in one or other of these coming up. So again, this is supplemental to the supplemental budget that we have coming forward. The next item was, and I may get the Brookshire to jump in here as well, and I'm used here, is around, I think the Director Edwards was asking about the CARES Act criteria. So the CARES Act, for those at home, was part of the federal legislation, which Trimet received about just under $185 million. We refer to it as $185 million, and it is not able to be used, as he outlined correctly this morning, for lost fare revenues.
So, did you hear that? Okay, there it is. So the scam is that the CARES Act cannot be used for lost fare. Now, so that's the scam. We just heard it right there. That was the most important part of this meeting. And we need to go back a little bit. I need to get that. Nice.
Their questions and answers, hopefully they passed they moved on. But the board itself this will be coming to the June board meeting for discussion and hopefully anticipating adoption to get ready for the July 1st effective date for our fiscal year. So in terms of transparency, Bernie Bottomley and his team are, there's several that are set. I think it's 3 right now.
It's a complete fraud. It's a complete scam.
Including, for example, I think the CAT committee would be inviting them to participate as well as anybody from the public. So, and I encourage all the board members to participate in one or other of these coming up. So again, this is supplemental to the supplemental budget.
Do this back because I want to put this on Twitter.
The next item was, and I may get the Brookshire to jump in here as well, and I'm used here, is around, I think the Director Edwards was asking about the CARES Act criteria. So the CARES Act, for those at home, was part of the federal legislation, which Trimet received about just under $185 million.
$185 million.
We refer to it as $185 million. And it is not able to be used, as he outlined correctly this morning, for lost fare revenues.
There you go.
Which is a significant impact for us.
It's a complete fraud.
Or lost revenues.
Complete 100%
but it can go
fraud.
towards some of our expense side of the business. So normally, there's typically the federal relationships more on the capital specific project side, but because of the significance of this event and the economic impact, it is about helping Trimet provide the services it's able to provide, also based on the demand that's actually out there. So, on the pause there, CD, is there anything that you want to add if you're unmuted?
Sure. I think it's important for us to remember that the CARES Act funding was meant to cover costs related to COVID-19. And so we've been accumulating those costs, and they're quite expensive. Cleaning supplies alone are $300,000 to $500,000 a month, so plus labor and so on. So those are direct costs that can be attributed to it. We're also able to pull in the money using preventative maintenance funding to cover expenses that are not specific, that are related, but would take longer for us to collect through COVID. But on the other point regarding public information, we have posted all of the proposed adjustments to the last approved budget on our website.
Of course, you can't
So we
understand
have
any
the
of it.
proposed budget, which was approved,
I mean,
and
I've looked at
now
their
we're
websites. It's
waiting
completely,
for the adoption
it's completely
in June. But in the meantime, as conditions change, we post the proposed adjustments on the website.
Thank you,
yeah,
Dave.
on the website when you can't make heads or
And the
tails
last
out of it.
item I would add that we heard commentary on, and I did talk about this at the GSCC hearing a little bit this morning, was the comments around ride connections and its reduction of funding. So part of this is that we have a contract with Ride Connection, and part of the dynamics that the principles that we're looking at is maintaining financial flexibility. Firstly, we don't know how many people will come back using paratransit or transit systems, let alone Ride Connection or West. So in the contract that we have, typically we allocate that money over a year basis as part of our contract.
See, you can't make heads or tails out of this. I mean, what is this supposed to mean? It doesn't mean anything. I mean, you look at this and it's complete fucking ridiculous bullshit, man. You can't make any sense out of it, and of course they do that on purpose.
Contracts. So we have in this proposed budget, we want to retain flexibility. So the current budget draft that's out there now is, I think, with the federal contributions plus our own to Ride Connection, so $2.75 billion anticipated for next year. So the reduction is about 18%, or actually just slightly less than the bus service that we've already cut back. So we're anticipating to...
I'd like to point out the only thing that's been cut is bus service. Okay? That's the only thing that's been cut. Okay? You have to understand what a fraud this whole operation really is.
Monitor it versus put it in the contract and then it's kind of gone. We want to monitor it and see what ridership does come back. I don't think anybody really knows, including ourselves, where this will go on ridership, let alone what other demands and significance the ridership and revenue impact will have on the. So there's a significance to maintaining flexibility here is one of our strategic principles. So the current scenario, which we are looking for feedback on,
yeah,
is,
right, sure.
That Ride Connection is not alone in the dynamics that this region and this.
Of course, they're cutting the services. This is the same thing that plays out over and over and over, and yet people actually vote yes to hand your money over to these criminals. And once they have it, they never let it go, and whatever service they were providing with it, they can take right out from under your feet. And that's what happened here. It's a complete fraudulent enterprise. This is organized crime that's legal.
This world is facing, and so we're trying to manage this. As many people rely on the transit service fundamentally, we do have also, we're going to have to continue to fund our paratransit service, where they have backed up a lot of capacity available also. So the right now it's an 18% reduction over the total dollars federal and ourselves that we're looking at. But in the budget, I also have an increased contingency to not know what is actually coming our way. Again, between ridership demand and let alone our financial circumstances of the severity that we may or may not be facing. So the goal is that, in fact, we do restore full service for all parts of our business. But we want to manage the cash that keeps us as flexible as possible. So
yeah, right. It's all bullshit. It's all lies. He doesn't want to cut anything but bus service. It's the only thing they're looking at is cutting service. Okay, this is extremely important to understand what's going on here, and it's going on at every fucking government agency across the country. Anything that helps the public is going to be cut. It's the same thing everywhere.
That's probably where I'll leave that there, and happy to answer any questions on that. In terms of my report this morning overall, I want to give you a bit of an update on COVID, because there have been important changes that have come this way, particularly since the Governor Kate Brown's recent order has come out a couple weeks ago. Give you a brief update as we've talked about ridership, where that fits for the month of April, looking back a bit. And as Director Gonzalez has spoken about, want to give some great insights into a EVE program. So we've got a presentation there. And finally, want to talk about an award that some of the team has done an amazing job on, but stay tuned for that in a second. So firstly, as you know, we received some encouraging news in the last few weeks from Governor Kate Brown, and she laid out a framework hopefully for all of our benefit about reopening Oregon back up.
Yeah, it's just amazing that the governor this is just amazing what's happening to people here. The government is completely taken over every aspect of our lives. I don't even know if people realize what's been happening. Of course, the ones that are out marching know, but I'm not sure if that's going to be effective. They need to find another way to do this, because the way they're doing it is only helping the police state.
For us, it's a clear sign and also evidence of the aggressive social distancing, not only as a state that's been practiced, but also particularly here on Trimet, that we've all endured for the last number of months. I think it's been effective. We are not, as you heard earlier today, we are actually doubling down on cleaning standards, and with those comes somewhere up to $12 million. It does come out of the CARES Act. Purchasing equipment, foggers and such that help invest in the confidence hopefully the public will see in our standards for cleanliness to come back and trust us to use the system as we open back up.
Nobody's coming back, okay? I'll be shocked if they even get half the ridership back.
So we're not taking our focus off the importance of not being through this challenge of the virus, let alone the economics that it's unleashed challenges. In terms of today, because of the standard reviews, we're very fortunate, and the great work of our frontline operators, our essential service operators, and mechanics and cleaners. To date, only one of our operators has tested positive for COVID-19. That was back in late March, and the operator has since turned to work mid-April. So just great appreciation for great continued help for that person and their families. I think it's particularly important, this result, knowing how many hundreds of thousands of boardings. We carry about 100,000 boardings even during COVID today. Typically it's around 300,000, but we're down by about a third of our ridership. So with that, it's just a really great result, and we've got to keep focusing on keeping our employees safe and our customers safe as well. And we're not going to waver from that.
Painful.
We also have had hundreds of employees take leave during the pandemic, but that can be attributed to a variety of reasons, including self-quarantine, the need to take care of child care while the schools are closed, and there's another obvious reason I think everyone is aware of. So it's there and available. Our staff are taking advantage of it. We've been averaging around 15 to 18% absenteeism throughout this significant time. So I think we're starting to see those numbers come down. And I think that's another positive sign as we decline, as we look to the recovery, the phase one reopening of this Tri-County area that we provide services to.
Yeah, right.
Now, in preparation as this reopening, we've implemented a number of new policies and procedures, particularly in accordance with Governor Kate Brown's order, as well as the Oregon Health Authority, that we work very, very closely with on a daily basis almost. I'd like to give you a couple examples of that, if I may. So firstly, face coverings are now required for all of our employees and our riders for using the system, and who can't maintain 6 feet distance from others. That's important. I'll talk about the 6 foot distance here in a bit as well, because that has changed under the governor's order. We understand also that not everyone
What is the governor's order?
has a face covering.
How do you feel being told what to do by somebody you never voted for? First it's Brown, Baker, Trump. I never voted for them. I don't approve of them. I don't respect any of them. I think they're all horrible. And all of them should be overthrown and given the guillotine. All of them.
So I've indicated at the TSCC hearing, Trimet, I believe it's the first in the country. In fact, the first in North America. I think Montreal's now followed us. Montreal, Canada, just last week, where we are actually going to provide face coverings to individuals who don't have their own. So that's a big investment, a big coverings, and hand sanitizer available in all the bus fleets that we're in the process of implementing right now, on top of the cleaners, the fogger, disinfectant. And we're actually testing UV lights right now. So I think even the FDA came out just even yesterday and confirmed that UV is not a sanctioned product at this point in time, but we're in the test behind the scenes stage at this point in time. As we've also heard, Trimet has taken an inform and supply approach to managing masks as opposed to inform and not enforcing. So there are exceptions that come out where children under 2 are not able to wear a mask.
Half the people are wearing them, only half. It's not effective. The whole thing, the whole COVID thing has been a joke. Okay, all of it.
Of course, infants, and as well as there are certain individuals who may have a medical condition. So we have to be careful not to prejudge somebody who may not be wearing a mask. And so this is a delicate balance that we're hoping we're trying to set the environment to do the right thing, to be considerate of others, take care of yourself, and let's not race the judgment on others. But we want to make sure that this, combined with the underpinnings of us being in the supply business of sanitizer masks. Personally, I hope that we stay in the sanitizer business long after this virus is gone. I just think it's good hygiene and probably a good practice, and probably long overdue. In the case of individuals not having masks, they will not be denied service if they don't have a face covering or decline to take one. Our customer service teams are doing a great job. They're also out on the system distributing masks, and we have it in touch, as was discussed earlier, around using other distribution channels to help get masks out there. We want to be careful that we're not supplying the whole Tri-County region for all reasons beyond transit, because but we want to make sure we're providing accessible distribution channels that are reasonable. And so
all right, that's enough of this. Yeah, this is a big con game we're listening to here. It's shocking that the only thing getting cut is bus service. Everybody else is okay. Bus service, lift service, ride connection. As is always the procedure, the lowest people eat the shit dictated to them by the elites.